ó yẹ ká wọlé sí ẹ̀yin gọ́vnà lára ká dáná sun yín lẹ́yọ kọ̀ọ̀kan olóyè ní Koiki má jẹ́ ká ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ jẹ́ kó mọ̀ pé ọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá nation tá à ń fà yìí tẹ́ ẹ̀ bá dá wa lóhùn a máa ṣe kinní yẹn fún yín gbẹ̀yìn ni ọmọ 8 years old ó wọnú uncompleted building ó ń yọ burglary tó fẹ́ lọ tàbí jẹun ẹ̀dẹ̀ ní ká má jó gbogbo nǹkan ẹni ká má dàlúrú ẹni ká dákẹ́ inú ilé ayé wo la wá wá ìtorí Elédùmarè kí ló ń ṣe wá gan-an. These are the faces of Yorubas tí wọ́n ń tako Yorùbá nation. So when people come out and say no fẹ́ gba Yorùbá nation, no, we want Yorùbá nation, but all these representatives, the ones that you are looking at their faces on the screen right now, these are the enemies of Yoruba. ò ní any reason láti communicate pẹ̀lú bomb bastard Sultan of Sokoto because mọ́ra rí òyìnbó ló kó gbogbo àpapọ̀ ní any reason láti communicate pẹ̀lú Obi of Anambra, Obi of Onitsha. We don't need any one of that. Ní pàṣẹ pé Yorùbá country ti dé wọn bí bàbá ńlá pọ̀ rí anybody dání gbogbo àgbáyé kó wà against it. Kí accept whatever táwọn olóṣèlú bá ṣe fún yín we accept it. Ẹ̀yẹ kan sọ fún àwọn akẹ́sọ pé ẹ fẹ́ Yorùbá nation. Whatever tí ẹ bá jọ ní pẹ̀lú àwọn olóṣèlú ẹ break hold yẹn kẹ́ support àwa kẹ́ wá wọn táwa máa ṣe àwa la máa sùn sí palace tó bá bí bàbá politician dá kó wá yọjú sí yín. Gbogbo ẹ̀dá ọmọ ènìyàn tó bá ń sáré ikú fún bàbá wa ọmọ Adéyẹmọ Olóyè Ìgbòho ẹ̀yin lẹ máa kú. Gbogbo ọba tó bá ń sáré pé kí olóyè pé in tó fẹ́ ṣe kó má rí ṣe ọba náà kó gbọdọ̀ wọlẹ̀. A gbọ́dọ̀ gbọ́rùn ọba náà kó tún dún mọ́ nílẹ̀ Yorùbá. Ọba kọ́ba tó bá ń pètò lẹ́yìn pẹ̀lú àwọn olóṣèlú pé wọ́n ń pariwo wọ́n ń ṣètò kan wọ́n ń ṣe gbogbo ohun tí a mọ̀ tí wọ́n lè ṣe lórí Olóyè Ìgbòho. Ọba náà kó sùn káwọn alálẹ̀ dè mọ́lẹ̀ tó bá fẹ́ gbéra kó má lè gbéra. A ní pé kó kà àmọ́ kí ọba náà nílẹ̀ Yorùbá ni ní gbogbo ibikíbi tẹ́ bá wà ní ọba ni mò ń sọ lọ́wọ́ yìí. Torí pé ọba kan ò lè wà kí olóyè àti bàbá Kítóyè máa sọ pé ìran ìyà ń jẹ ìran Yorùbá tí ẹ tún wá ń ṣe jàǹbá pé kí olóyè gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹni tí ó máa lọ bá màmá rẹ̀ lọ́run. Ọba náà ni kó lọ dúró dè wá lọ́hùn. Ọba kọ́ba ní gbogbo ibi tó ń pè ní South West àti tilẹ̀ Haúsá ni àti tilẹ̀ Ìgbò ni àti tilẹ̀ Gẹ̀ẹ́sì ni tó bá ń pèrò pé kí olóyè Ìgbòho kó má lè ṣe tó wà lẹ́mìí ẹ̀ tó fẹ́ ṣe fọ́mọ Yorùbá kí ọba náà kó sùn kó má dìde. Kí ọba náà níbikíbi tẹ bá wà ní dìde orí ilẹ̀ tẹ sùn yẹn náà lẹ máa sùn sí tá máa fi gbé yín lọ síbi tá máa sin yín sí. Ọba nílẹ̀ Yorùbá tó bá ń tako ìran rẹ̀ tí a dẹ̀ ń pariwo àwa fìyẹn sílẹ̀ pé kí Elédùmarè kó mú yín. Àmọ́ tẹ bá ń ṣe jàǹbá pé ìgbésẹ̀ tó kù tó lóye fẹ́ gbé gbogbo ọ̀nà tó fẹ́ gbà ẹ fẹ́ blọ́ọ̀kì ẹ̀ ni ẹ fẹ́ rán àṣàṣì sí ni ẹ fẹ́ rán kinní kan sí ni gbogbo ẹ̀ pátápátá lọ́dọ̀ ti yín lálẹ́ yìí kí Ọlọ́run wo ohun tá a fi ń sọ̀rọ̀ nínú bíbà yìí kí ọba náà kó sùn kó má dìde. Torí pé èmi ò mọ bí ọba ṣe lè wà nílẹ̀ Yorùbá tí a dẹ̀ ń sọ pé ìyà ń jẹ ọmọ Yorùbá níbikíbi tí gbogbo wa wà lálẹ́ yìí tí àwọn ọba dẹ̀ dákẹ́. Mo lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin ìyá wa dáadáa, mo kí Ajagun, mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin màmá tí ẹ̀ ń dúró tì wá pé kò ní bàjẹ́, tí ẹ̀ ń fi gbogbo àsìkò yín tí ẹ fi ń ṣe àdúrà pé kí ìran Yorùbá kó tú nínú ìdì. Gbogbo ibikíbi tẹ́ bá wà, mo bẹ̀ Ọlọ́run nínú ọlẹ́ kó jọ kó túbọ̀ bá wa dúró tì yín. Mo wá lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin bàbá. Ẹ̀yin bàbá tí ẹ dúró pé ìran Yorùbá níbi tó wà lénìí ibẹ̀ kọ́ ló yẹ ká wà. Kọ́lọ̀ ń jọ kó bá wà pẹ̀lú yín. Mo lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ mo kí gbogbo àwọn medias. Torí pé mídíà kan ò lè dá ṣe. A kò ní bá ṣe ń gbé program yẹn létòlétò ni. Koiki Media ò lè dá ṣe kò possible. Koiki Media ò lè dá ṣe àmọ́ ó dúró gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọmọ Yorùbá tó lè kápá àwọn olóṣèlú, ó lè kápá àwọn ọba, ó lè kápá anybody. Kódà tó bá jẹ́ King Charles ni mo kápá ẹ̀. torí ikú kan tó máa pa King Charles náà ló máa pẹ̀ mí kò sí nǹkan tí wọ́n lè ṣe ìran Yorùbá máa tú King Charles ò lè dá dúró gbogbo ẹni mo fi sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ and God bless the king. King Charles kò lè dá dúró tí bá dẹ̀ sọ pé King Charles ò lè dá dúró bàbá wa Ọọ̀ni òrìṣà ò lè dá pé kí Yorùbá má dá dúró wọ́n lè dá dúró wọ́n lè fọwọ́ aago sẹ́yìn ní bọ̀wọ̀ lè dá dúró Ọọ̀ni of Ife òrìṣà lẹ̀ Yorùbá lè dá Yorùbá nation dúró kò possible nítorí pé ìran tí ó ń sọ̀rọ̀ lọ́wọ́ yìí ìran generation yìí kò bó ṣe ní respect tó tẹ̀yìn ọba tó bá kù díẹ̀ káàtó kíní yẹn la máa ṣe fún gbogbo yín bọ̀ a fẹ́ ṣe kíní yẹn fún yín torí pé a mọ̀ pé ẹ lè yíwà padà àmọ́ yìí tó bá yíwà padà tó bá jẹ́ pé wá tún wá ń jókòó pẹ̀lú ẹ̀yin babaláwo àwọn tó jẹ́ pé jọ ń ṣe kùrùkẹ̀lẹ̀ lóru ẹ̀ ń gbẹ́bọ lásán ẹ̀ ń gbọ́bọ lálọ́ ẹ̀ ń gbẹ́lá gbogbo ibẹ̀ ẹ máa san ẹ̀mí dìde torí pé àwa kan tá à ń rí pé ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ó ti dibi tí àánú ṣe wá ẹni tí àánú ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ò bá ṣe lálẹ́ yìí á jẹ́ pé o kì í ṣe ọmọ Yorùbá tòótọ́ mo rọ́ lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ mìíràn kan sí mo kí gbogbo àwọn mídíàs wa àwọn ò ní bú ọba kankan gẹ́gẹ́ bí olóyè ṣe sọ wọ́n ní ẹ má bú àwọn ọba àwọn àgbàlagbà ni wọ́n àmọ́ ọba tó bá ń perí olóyè Ìgbòho ọba náà gbọ́dọ̀ sùnkùn ní dìde torí pé àmọ́ reason tẹ́ ṣe lè máa perí olóyè Ìgbòho nígbà tá a mọ̀ pé ìyà ń jẹ̀ràn wa àfẹni tó bá fi parọ́ ẹ tó bá wá ní ìyà ò jẹ ìran ọmọ Yorùbá á jẹ́ pé òmọ tó ń lọ nínú Nàìjíríà torí pé tó bá mọ tó ń lọ ni wàá mọ̀ pé ṣìgìdì ó ti wọlé Yorùbá ẹ jẹ́ ń lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ kí n kí Yorùbá Space TV ká tó múra síwájú ẹ bá mi gbọ́ wọlé share button mo kí Yorùbá Space TV mo kí Pavilion TV mo kí iSeen TV mo ṣe wo program tẹ́ ṣe tán mo máa ń gbádùn program yín Yorùbá ti yín ó dá ṣáká di tiwa lọ tó àwa ti fi tiwa jẹ bọ́gà mo kí ẹ Pavilion nínú kòsíkòsí nínú pé à ń sọ fáwọn èèyàn wa pé ká bá máa jìjàngbara a need the media tó lè compete tó lè sọ̀rọ̀ tó lè bá wa put àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ kalẹ̀ àmọ́ tẹ́ ẹ̀ bá support media èmi ò ní kẹ́ support Koiki nìkan àní gbogbo media pátá ló jẹ́ kẹ́ máa béèrè pé ṣe ní data ìyà data ò gbọ́dọ̀ máa jẹ media tó ń pariwo Yorùbá nation as long as tó bá sì ní Yorùbá nation lòun ṣe ìyà media yẹn kò gbọ́dọ̀ pọ̀ jù torí tíyà bá pọ̀ jù gan nígbà míì á máa rò pé ṣó wọ́tẹ̀ Ọlọ́run má jẹ́ kí irú àwa táwa dé níjọ́ kan ká sọ pé ṣó wọ́tẹ̀ pé à ń pariwo Yorùbá nation pounded yam ìyàwó mi ṣe fún mi mo sọ fún Wàlátà ẹ bá mi ṣàdúrà fún ó ṣe surgery kékeré oúnjẹ tó pọ̀ ìlú yòókòkò kò mí pé bí yàn bá ṣe surgery àyànà á máa já ìlú Nàìjíríà ló máa ṣe surgery lọ́ọ̀ ní pé kó máa lọ sílé ìlú òyìnbó tó bá ní kó ṣe surgery kan á ní máa lọ́lé àwọn mọ̀ pé táwọn ṣe fún ẹyẹ kò sí wàhálà níbẹ̀ mo wá bi Wàlátà mo ní kí ló wá jẹ ó náà ń jẹ grapes mo ní pounded yam ló nídìí onídìí tó máa jẹ kégungun gbogbo ara lè le kẹ́kẹ́kẹ́kẹ́ tọ́lọ́ bá ń fún ẹ lálàáfíà òun ló lórí ẹbí wa olórí ẹbí tí Ọlọ́run ṣẹ́ kò ní ṣẹ́ ní tẹ̀yìn mo wá lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ mo kí gbogbo ẹni tí ara ní nílẹ̀ Yorùbá lẹ́nìí ara ní àwọn èèyàn ara nílẹ̀ Yorùbá àmọ́ ara tó nílẹ̀ Yorùbá yẹn ẹ̀rọ fẹ́ dé àmọ́ àwọn kan ní ká má jẹ́ kó dé kábíyèsí Elédùmarè ẹ̀rọ ó fẹ́ dé sílẹ̀ Yorùbá kí ló ń pè lẹ́rọ̀ ká níjọba tiwa ká lè darí ayé wa ká lè sọ èdè wa ká lè ṣe gẹ́gẹ́ bí n ta lè ṣe ká lè sún àwọn ọmọ Ìgbò tó bá ń dààmú wa ká yọ wọ́n kúrò bí jìgá kúrò láàrin wa èyí tó máa gbé láàrin wa gbọ́dọ̀ ṣe ń ta fẹ́ ni UK in tó ń ṣe nìyẹn ẹni tó ò bá ṣe tiwọn wọ́n máa yọ bí jìgá Amẹ́ríkà ń ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ France ń ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ ìyẹn ò ní pé ayé tiwọn torí ọmọ Ìgbò tó bá máa gbé pẹ̀lú wa ó gbọ́dọ̀ respect òfin ilẹ̀ Yorùbá torí pé gbogbo in tó ń ṣe níta náà tó fi respect òun ló ń lọ lọ́nkàn yẹn ọmọ Yorùbá tó bá wà kú díẹ̀ káàtó àárọ̀ lọ sẹ́wọ̀n èyí tó bá pààyàn àádájọ́ ẹ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ bí constitution àmọ́ ìta bá rí pé orientation ló ṣẹlẹ̀ sí bóyá fún díkan àbídí kejì ó kù díẹ̀ káàtó àá ṣètọ́jú fún un ẹ̀yin ọmọ Yorùbá dìde ọ̀rọ̀ tó wà nílẹ̀ yóò ń ṣọ̀rọ̀ Koiki Media kò ń ṣe pé torí pé mi wà nílùú òyìnbó pẹ̀lú àwọn ọmọ àtìyàwó àmọ́ ara nílẹ̀ Yorùbá mo kí ẹ ara ẹ̀ wá kíkanjú àní gbogbo àti bá rí ẹnu mi á máa dùn obìnrin tó dúró ni báwọn ọmọ Ìgbò yẹn ṣe ń bá wa jà ó ń takò wọ́n pé sẹ́ ànílẹ̀ Yorùbá ló ń pe bíbà yìí ò kì í ṣe ilẹ̀ Ìgbò tílẹ̀ Yorùbá ò bá gbé yẹn padà lọ sílẹ̀ Ìgbò ìyẹn ò ní pé bí a bá rí n tó dá láàrin àwọn ọmọ Ìgbò ká má sọ àmọ́ èmi àti Simon Ekpa a dúró 5 and 6 lórí ìrìn àjò yìí torí pé self determination ni Simon Ekpa fẹ́ self determination lèmi náà fẹ́ àjọ máa ṣèjọba ọ̀tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ ni mo wá kí Simon Ekpa kú iṣẹ́ takuntakun ọbẹ̀ Elédùmarè á tì ẹ́ lẹ́yìn gbogbo ìgbésẹ̀ tí Simon Ekpa fẹ́ gbé ní December 2nd àwa máa ṣe àjò lé lórí pé ó gbọ́dọ̀ bọ́ sí mo máa pe babaláwo mi pé gbogbo ìgbésẹ̀ tí Simon Ekpa fẹ́ gbé ẹgbẹ́ fájáde gbogbo ohun tó bá kù díẹ̀ káàtó wọ́n máa fẹ́ dàrú mọ́ lọ́wọ́ ni kẹ́ bá wa rán ògùn sí bàbá Tinubu bó bá jẹ́ Tinubu ló fẹ́ yọ Simon Ekpa lára kí kóògùn lọ bá kó máa lọ torí pé Tinubu mọ̀ dájú pé ìran Yorùbá gbọ́dọ̀ lọ gẹ́gẹ́ bí orílẹ̀-èdè àmọ́ ó wà lára àwọn tó ń takò lálẹ́ yìí mo fẹ́ ká wo fídíò yìí ní kíákíá torí ara mi ń gbóná àmọ́ mò ń tẹ̀ láti control mo kíyà tó bí mi lọ́mọ ẹ má bínú ẹ̀yin tó kù táì tí kì í torí tá a bá wà lórí program ní àsìkò wà tá à ń ṣeré àsìkò eré yàtọ̀ ilẹ̀ Yorùbá gbọ́dọ̀ máa dùn wá lọ́kàn gẹ́gẹ́ bí bó ṣe wà lálẹ́ yìí mo kíyàwó tó bí mi mo kíyàwó mi dáadáa torí pé tó o bá mo ní nígbà tó ti fún mi ní pounded yam àtẹ̀fọ́ mo gbọ́dọ̀ jáde láti wá lo energy yẹn nísìnyí ẹ jẹ́ ká jọ wo fídíò yìí mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin ọmọ Yorùbá ẹ gbé ohùn sókè ẹ jẹ́ ká jọ wo fídíò.
ok ṣé ti rí.
glass ni abinet.
kí ló wà lọ́wọ́ ẹ yẹn.
ṣé máa ń tu ni abẹ máa ń bírèkì ẹ.
oya ṣe lè bẹ́ẹ̀ máa ń ṣe.
ṣé bẹ́ẹ̀ máa ń ṣe.
ṣé ti rí bẹ́ẹ̀ ti rí. Are you getting me, sir? ṣé ti rí. Look at this so small age.
ọmọ ọdún mélòó ni ẹ sọ̀rọ̀ sókè.
ọmọ ọdún mélòó ni ẹ sọ̀rọ̀. 8 years. ok.
kí lorúkọ ẹ.
lẹ́yìn tí ẹ fẹ́ wo fídíò yìí ara gbọ́dọ̀ máa mì yín inú gbọ́dọ̀ máa bí yín ó yẹ ká la pọ́npọ́ ó yẹ ká jáde lálẹ́ yìí ó yẹ ká dàlúrú ó yẹ ká jó nǹkan àmọ́ olóyè ní Koiki má jẹ́ ká ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ ó yẹ ká wọlé sí ẹ̀yìn gómìnà lára ká dáná sun yín lẹ́yọ kọ̀ọ̀kan olóyè ní Koiki má jẹ́ ká ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ jẹ́ kó mọ̀ pé ọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá nation tá à ń fà yìí tẹ́ ẹ̀ bá dá wa lóhùn a máa ṣe kinní yẹn fún yín gbẹ̀yìn ni ọmọ 8 years old ó wọnú uncompleted building ó ń yọ bọ́gláàrì tó fẹ́ lọ tàbí jẹun ẹ̀dẹ̀ ní ká má jó gbogbo nǹkan ẹni ká má dàlúrú ẹni ká dákẹ́ inú ilé ayé wo la wá wá ìtorí Elédùmarè kí ló ń ṣe wá ganan 8 years old níbi tẹ́mi náà ní àwọn ọmọ kéékèèké nínú ilé ebi ló ń pọmọ yìí kí lọmọ yìí ti mọ̀ èèyàn kan ló rà lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ ọmọ ọdún 8 ó ń wọnú building ó lọ ń yọ bọ́gílárì ó dẹ̀ ń tà alájà kan dẹ̀ ń rà lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ ẹ̀dẹ̀ ní ká má sọ̀rọ̀ ẹni ká dákẹ́. má ṣe ẹ jẹ́ ká play video yẹn lẹ́yìn gẹ̀ ẹ bá mi gbọ́ wọlé share button ẹ gbé ọwọ́ lé share button tó bá jẹ́ pé Jésù ló ń pè lálẹ́ yìí ni ẹ máa bá wa comment ẹ máa share ẹ bá mi share program yìí ẹ bá mi pa àwọn èèyàn wọlé pé kó wá wọ ọmọ ọdún 8 tó ń wọnú uncompleted building nílẹ̀ Yorùbá bàbá wo lọ́wọ́ dẹ̀ máa wòkè báyìí á dẹ̀ máa wọlé báyìí á dẹ̀ máa béèrè pé kí ló ń ṣẹlẹ̀ gan-an kí ló dé kí la ṣe tá la ṣẹ̀ gbogbo ẹni tá a bá ṣẹ̀ ẹ jẹ́ ká wé ètùtù ká ṣe fún wọn ẹ jẹ́ ká bẹ Ọlọ́run tí gbogbo ọ̀bá dẹ̀ wọ̀ ẹ jẹ́ ká dàlúrú ẹ jẹ́ àdàrú kó lè tètè dà á ní end Nigeria and save life a gbọ́dọ̀ save life àwọn ọmọ yìí àwọn ọmọ tẹ́ ń wò yẹ̀yìn tẹ́ wà ń diaspora àwọn náà máa padà pa yín wọ́n pọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ nílẹ̀ Yorùbá tó ń sùn tó ń jí tó ń jalè tẹ́ bá ṣe ń dé wọ́n máa mọ́nítọ̀ yín láti airport wàá yọ ẹ̀mí kúrò lára ẹ̀ kò ní jẹ́ nǹkan kan ẹ jẹ́ ká play video yẹn lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí i.
Example. ok ṣé ti rí.
glass ni abinet.
kí ló wà lọ́wọ́ ẹ yẹn.
ṣé máa ń tu ni abẹ máa ń bírèkì ẹ.
oya ṣe lè bẹ́ẹ̀ máa ń ṣe.
ṣé bẹ́ẹ̀ máa ń ṣe.
ṣé ti rí bẹ́ẹ̀ ti rí. Are you getting me, sir? ṣé ti rí. Look at this so small age.
ọmọ ọdún mélòó ni ẹ sọ̀rọ̀ sókè.
ọmọ ọdún mélòó ni ẹ sọ̀rọ̀. 8 years. Okay.
Kí lorúkọ ẹ? Oya, máa ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ máa ṣe káwò, kó scatter aluminium ẹ̀ káwò.
So kò tí lẹ́yìn máa ṣe normal. Mo dẹ̀ parọ́ fún dáàdì yẹn pé nǹkan sọnù bí báyìí. But now èmi tí kí wá lọ́wọ́ mi ni mo ní. Kó yọ sí normal pieces.
Àwọn bóòtù tẹ̀ tún náà tẹ́lẹ̀ gbọ́dọ̀ wà.
Àwọn bóòtù yẹn ò ní kò lára ẹ̀. Ó ṣáwọn ilé yóò lóbi ni.
Ó yà kú, báwo lẹ ṣe máa ń kó? Ẹ̀mélòó lẹ ti wá ní? Ẹ̀mélòó lẹ ti wá tẹ́lẹ̀?
Ẹjọ wá tẹ́lẹ̀.
Ìwọ àti ẹ̀mélòó lẹ wá lánàá? Ẹ̀mélòó lẹ wá lánàá? Lẹ wá lánàá? Ìwọ àti ọmọ kan ti jọ wá tẹ́lẹ̀. Ó jẹ́ mẹ́ta tẹ́ ti wá bí báyìí.
Àti ta ní àárọ̀. Gbùngbùngbùngbùn tá a tọ́jú síbẹ̀ ló la fẹ́ kó lánàá.
Lè wá fẹ́ gbé lálẹ́ tó fi mú yín.
Lálẹ́ táìmù lọ́wọ́ alẹ́ ṣé ìhun ní sùn mọ́ ni wọ́n lọ́hùn ẹ wo òun ni yóò I don't know what to do o in fact mo ní bá wù bọ́dà bí.
alájà tó wà níbi táadé ẹbí táwọn ìṣáájú jẹ níbi Akóredé.
Ibi Akóredé sáàbì l'Akóredé wà ìyànà bí Ìyẹsí àbí Ṣàngó.
Tòsí níbi kíní bẹ́ẹ̀.
Ibo Ìyẹsí àbí ibo kí lorúkọ bẹ̀ Ẹ̀gàn road ní àbí ẹ́. Ẹ̀gàn road alájà yẹn wà lẹ máa ń tà fún ẹ̀mélòó ló ti tajà fún yín. Ẹ̀mélòó ló ti tà fún yín. Ojoojúmọ́ lẹ máa ń tajà fún yín. Ṣé máa ń ta nẹ́ẹ̀tì náà fún àbí alumílíọ̀nù nìkan? Èló lẹ ta kílò alumílíọ̀nù? 1 kilo
2,000, half kilo 1,000.
1 kilo 2,000.
Window mélòó ni 1 kilo?
Abẹ́rẹ́ ni tí ó lè mú 1 kilo tó fún 2,000.
Ìyẹn bí eléyìí báyìí. Bí eléyìí báyìí máa mú 1 kilo.
Máa fún yín 2,000.
Wọ́n mi àyídáde máa ṣẹ̀wọ̀n pẹ̀lẹ́ wo ṣọ́rẹ́ tó ní kinní yìí ẹ̀tẹ́ bọ́yẹ̀ wá àti wáyé ti pẹ́ ẹ̀tọ́rí wo ẹ̀ tó ní bíldìn yìí àtàbúrò tí àbúrò wọn àbẹ́gbọ́n bá gbọ́ wo mọ́mí ẹ̀ àti dáàdì ẹ̀ máa wo àwọn náà máa lọ ṣẹ̀wọ̀n tiẹ̀ because èjẹ̀ ò tí ṣẹ̀wọ̀n bọ̀ àwọn náà máa lọ ṣẹ̀wọ̀n nítorí pé wọ́n mójútó ẹ̀.
The welfare of millions of people for generations to come may be affected by the wisdom which we here display. If Nigerian leaders and our British partners are to prove themselves worthy of their trust, now is the time for us solemnly and truly to dedicate ourselves to seeking the greatest good of the greatest number of our people in Nigeria.
I don't know how you are feeling tonight. Èmi ò mọ bó ṣe ṣe lára tẹ̀yin. Nígbà tí wọ́n fi fídíò ìránṣẹ́ sí mi, mo wò títí, mo béèrè pé kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀ gan-an? Ta la ṣẹ̀? Kí ló dé tí a dẹ̀ ń sọ fáwọn èèyàn wa pé bí nǹkan ṣe ń lọ yìí nílẹ̀ Yorùbá ọmọ ọdún 8 tó wọnú building tó ń yọ burglary láti lọ tà ní 1,000 naira ní 2,000 naira níbi tí Ọlọ́run Elédùmarè tó kẹ́ ilẹ̀ Yorùbá dé. Kí la fẹ́ ṣe sọ̀rọ̀ tó wà nílẹ̀ yìí? Ta ló wà against pé kíran Yorùbá bọ́ nínú ìdààmú àtòṣì? Ta ló wà behind ẹ̀? Àti pé kí ló dé? Kí la máa sọ fún wọn? Kí la máa ṣe fún wọn? irú ẹ̀bẹ̀ wo ni ká bẹ̀ wọ́n bí wọ́n máa gbọ́ níbi tí ilé ayé dé lénìí ní ọmọ ọdún 8 kí lọmọ yìí mọ̀. Mo kí gbogbo wa Awon Ife TV show, mo kí yín, mo kí wa media tó wà nínú ilé, mo kí àwọn Biafra, all hail Biafra, Rubijan, mo kí yín, mo kí ẹ̀yin tá wà lórí Twitter space. That is the situation that we find ourselves. I will leave the phone line to be open. Bí a bá réyàn méjì mẹ́ta, àní pẹ́ títí aago 10:00 I will end this broadcast. It's not a full 3 hours. Tabalẹ̀ tó fẹ́ bá wa dá sí fídíò tẹ́ ń rí, ẹ bá wa pè wọlé sórí studio number wa. Ẹ wá bá wa sọ̀rọ̀. Pé ṣé ó ti dé stage yìí ni? Àbó ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ń bẹ̀rẹ̀? Àbí ká ṣe máa expect the worst lábẹ́ ìjọba Tinubu yìí? Kí la ṣe fún Bọ́lá Tinubu? Àti pé ṣé ọ̀rọ̀ tí Gbàjàbírí sọ òun ló ń ṣe báyìí?
The weight of Nigeria is not the weight that any normal, ordinary human being can carry, except with the help of Almighty Allah. It is evident, therefore, that the Almighty Allah is with our president. He is carrying the weight for him. The weight of Nigeria is not the weight that any normal, ordinary human being can carry, except with the help of Almighty Allah. It is evident, therefore, that the Almighty Allah is with our president. He is carrying the weight for him.
Mo kí wa lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí pé ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ìkànnì wa tí a mọ̀ sí Koiki Media. Èní ni the last day of the month of October. A kí gbogbo àwọn tí wọ́n ti ṣọjọ́ bí nínú oṣù yìí. Bá ṣe ń wọnú oṣù tuntun lọ ní ọ̀la yìí, mo kí wa pé happy birthday in advance fún gbogbo àwọn tí wọ́n máa ṣọjọ́ bí náà. Mo kí gbogbo àwọn tó fẹ́ freedom àti àwọn tó ń gbìyànjú. Gbogbo wa là ń ṣe gbìyànjú. We are all trying our best from different angles. And we are doing this not because of anything, but because we want our people that have suffered under a system of government that failed. Walata, only this video with this little boy is very pathetic, and just share the tears, especially tí àwa tá mọ̀ the importance of children. Mo kí Yorùbá Space TV lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí, mo kí gbogbo èèyàn wa. Many Nigerians are now also demanding a kind of a slight change, and I want to bring one up to you on the screen in a minute. She was the same person that criticized Igboho some few months back. Well, not few months, some few weeks back. That why should Igboho go all the way to Downing Street to deliver a letter to Downing Street, since we are no longer part of UK anymore? We are an independent country. But the truth being said, everybody knows that Nigeria is not truly independent, and we have been deceived that we are. The question then is, how do we stop the fraudulent Nigeria that was created for a selfish reason? And that reason can no longer work. But many people say, Oshimashishe, that is just a matter of when and how. But ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ èèyàn mọ̀ pé the end of Nigeria òun la wà. But yet, àwọn ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ yẹn wọ́n ń tako pé kí Nàìjíríà kó dissolve. a mọ̀ páwọn kan ò láǹfààní àti jẹ nínú ẹ̀ àmọ́ àwọn gan wà lára àwọn tó ń tako pé kí Yorùbá dá dúró gẹ́gẹ́ bí orílẹ̀-èdè. Mo wá ń bi wá lálẹ́ yìí, ta ni àwọn tó ń takò gan bí a ti ṣe ń pariwo bí a ti ṣe ń sọ pé a fẹ́ dá dúró ká lè wà ní orílẹ̀-èdè tiwa náà láti lè ṣe ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ nǹkan tó máa ṣàǹfààní fún wa lénìí àti lọ́la. Mo bẹ̀ wá, mo rọ̀ wá, gbogbo ìgbà kí ìgbà tá a bá ń sọ pé a fẹ́ dá dúró, ẹ jẹ́ ká máa béèrè lọ́kàn ara wa pé a fẹ́ dá dúró nígbà wo gan la fẹ́ dá dúró yẹn? Ṣé lénìí ni àbí lọ́la? Àbí a tún fẹ́ ní sùúrù kíjọba Tinubu tó ń lọ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ yìí ká test ká try tó bá dẹ̀ wá ṣiṣẹ́? Torí pé àwọn tí wọ́n ń takò wọ́n ń wo Tinubu gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹni tó ní kankan tó máa wá ọ́fà wa láìpẹ́ láì jìnnà. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ dẹ̀ mọ̀ pé Tinubu tí wọ́n expect yìí kò ní kankan tó fẹ́ ọ́fà. Tinubu ó ń gbìyànjú àmọ́ Nàìjíríà ò lè work fún ìgbìyànjú ẹ̀ láti jáde rárá. And that is the reason why àwa kan ṣe ń sọ pé ṣe jẹ́ ká gbéyẹ̀wò. If this union failed to work, why then are we pushing it on ourselves? Kí ló dé tá à ń force lé wa lórí? Kí ni reason tá à ń force Nàìjíríà tó ṣiṣẹ́ lórí ara wa? Olówó ò fẹ́ yẹ kí Nàìjíríà kó pín torí pé wọ́n mọ̀ pé ìjọ tó bá ti pín, that will be the end of it. Okay, tweet tí mo wá lélẹ̀. Mo ń bọ̀ ẹ ká sáré gbé okay náà. Kọ́ọ̀lù yàn ṣe fún program. Let's come to this tweet quickly. Ẹ bá gbọ́ wọlé share button ní kíákíá. Mo ń bọ̀ láti gbé tweet yẹn wá. Yorùbá nation no going back. Bọ́fẹ́ bọ́kọ̀ ìran Yorùbá máa dúró. But I pray pé kó má pẹ́ ju bó ṣe yẹ lọ. That is just my own prayer and I hope that is the same prayer pẹ̀lẹ́yìn náà. The 1914 amalgamation gbogbo alamọ̀ kó ti expire. Ẹ jẹ́ ká sáré ka tweet látọ̀dọ̀ arábìnrin kan tó ń pè ní Aisha Yusuf. Ó post eléyìí ní aago 7 ó kọjá ìṣẹ́jú 10 ìyẹn ní àná on the 30th of October 2024. Ẹgbọ́n nǹkan tó kọ síbẹ̀. Can every state keep its resources? Ǹjẹ́ kí gbogbo ìpínlẹ̀ tó ń bẹ ní Nàìjíríà, gbogbo nǹkan tó jẹ́ àmúlùmọ́dùn wọn, gbogbo nǹkan tó jẹ́ resources wọn, ǹjẹ́ kò dáa kí olúkálukú kó keep it together? Ìyẹn ni ó fi bẹ̀rẹ̀. Ó wá ní dem pay a percentage to the federal government ? Pé lẹ́yìn ìgbà tí gbogbo èèyàn bá kíkun tó ń bẹ nínú state ẹ̀, gẹ́gẹ́ bí àpẹẹrẹ ẹni tó bá wá láti ìlú Ondo kó kíkun tó ń bẹ nínú Ondo, ẹni tó bá wà láti Rivers State ní tó bá ń bẹ lábẹ́ Rivers State kó keep ẹ̀, ẹni tó bá wà ní Anambra ní tó bá ń bẹ ní inú Anambra kó keep ẹ̀, Zamfara, Ogun State, ká wá máa san ìṣàkọọ́lẹ̀ díẹ̀díẹ̀ fún federal government. Ó wá tẹ̀síwájú ó ní states that cannot survive on their own can merge states that are better together rather than separately can also merge. Pé àwọn state tí a mọ̀ pé àwọn ò ní kankan torí pé ìtọ́ ṣe ni pé regional tó fún wa nígbà tá a fẹ́ gba independent tí wọ́n dàrú mọ́ wa lọ́wọ́ wọ́n wá create ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ state míì tẹ́ bá béèrè pé kí ni ìwúlò state yìí nínú Nàìjíríà wọ́n ní state náà ni bẹ́ẹ̀ ó ní governor ó ní deputy ó ní commissioner wọ́n wá waste resources state míì wọ́n pump ẹ̀ sínú state yẹn ó ní sọ̀rọ̀ àwọn state bẹ́ẹ̀ kọ́ darapọ̀. Ó wá ní every region in Nigeria is blessed and has what it takes to be prosperous. Pé gbogbo ibi tí wọ́n ń pè ní Nàìjíríà gẹ́gẹ́ bí òun ṣe sọ ó ní Ọlọ́run kẹ́ ibẹ̀ oríṣiríṣi nǹkan dẹ̀ wà níbẹ̀ ó ní this federal allocation ìyẹn owó tíjọba ń fún àwọn state ní every month has killed desire to exploit potential by different states. Ibi tó ti ṣe mistake nìyẹn. Ṣé rí àwọn èèyàn bá èèyàn burúkú ni arábìnrin tó ń pè ní Aisha Yusuf èèyàn burúkú gbà ni. Gbogbo wọn ló mọ̀ pé ọ̀rọ̀ Nàìjíríà kò lè ṣiṣẹ́. Ọ̀rọ̀ Nàìjíríà regional government ó ti late. Kò sí nǹkan kan ta lè region mọ́. Kódà àwọn Haúsá náà ti ń sọ̀rọ̀ pé ẹ ṣe jẹ́ kí gbogbo èèyàn máa lọ olúkálukú lọ dá ṣèjọba rẹ̀. Ajìjàngbara Media TV mo kí ẹ. Gbogbo ẹ̀yin tó kù a máa kí yín ká tó parí ètò torí àsìkò. Now ẹ jẹ́ ká wo àwọn respond tó wá lábẹ́. Sísà mi kan wọ́n ń pè ní Ifáfúnṣọ́ mo máa ń tẹ̀lé dáadáa lórí X. Ó ní I wasn't expecting this from you. Shows you know what you are doing. This world, or you are just knowing how a proper society should be. Eléyìí ṣàlàyé pé so ṣòfẹ́ sọ pé o mọ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀ ni àbí o ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ mọ̀. This is the same Aisha Yusuf tó ń criticize olóyè Ìgbòho pé ó gbé ìwé lọ bá Prime Minister UK. Òun sọ pé ṣé a ṣì wà ní abẹ́ slave báwo tẹ̀lé ó ṣe sọ̀rọ̀ yẹn. Ẹ jẹ́ ká tẹ̀síwájú Ifáfúnṣọ́. Ó ní ṣé o ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ mọ̀ ni pé society tó ò ní ṣiṣẹ́ òun la wà nínú ẹ̀tọ́ pè ní Nàìjíríà mú kí a tó bí mi lọ́mọ. Ó ní I believe with time pẹ̀lú àsìkò you will understand ìyẹn Ifáfúnṣọ́ that one Nigeria yìí is a scam. It is only by true federalism or secession that can fix this mess. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí sister wa yẹn ṣe sọ. Ẹ jẹ́ ká gbọ́n tí Mr. Position sọ. Ìyẹn ní in a sane climb, that is how it should be. But will they allow this to happen? It will only block the free ways like Tinubu, àwọn olè, àwọn jagaban, àwọn jagabandit, àwọn criminals, àwọn Peter Obi olè, àwọn Atiku olè, àwọn Kwankwaso Maradona, àwọn Dasuki olè. Gbogbo wọn criminals bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. Ẹja gbọ́n tí ọbabìnrin Adérónkẹ́ sọ. Ìyẹn ní wow! Ṣé pé lè jáde lẹ́nu ẹ ìwọ Aisha Yusuf? Wonders in Wonderland. I thought only we, the Bigotrians, were allowed to think this way. Aisha is begging to ronú too. Now, kí ni mo fẹ́ mú jáde bẹ́ẹ̀ ni pé first and foremost, regional government ò lè work mọ́. Gbogbo ẹni tó bá ń pè pé ká lọ ṣe regional government, it is just too late to regionalize Nigeria. Let everybody go back to their tentacle and rectify the damage that the British has done for the last 100 years plus, that has created the menace of identity theft, that the British protected their own interest against all other interests, which is called the fraudulent 1914 amalgamation, that we would do everything possibly best in this generation, even if it's going to be painful to millions of Nigerians, to stop this identity theft by Britain against the Yorubas, the Igbos, the Hausas, and the rest of the different ethnic indigenous people, because we are not tribes. Morawari, I don't know Igbo people, I don't know Hausa people. Eledumare dá gbogbo wa separately. But if everybody just think that we will not bring that in reality, you better throw that away because it will become messy. It will become bitter because we must end this Northern Protectorate and Southern Protectorate that is now formulated to be known as this fraudulent country called Nigeria, that Ekiti State House of Assembly, the bomb bastard Ekiti State House of Assembly member, will now go to Canada for a retreat, knowing fully well that they have not even paid the minimum wage in Ekiti State. The representatives that are representing us in Ekiti State, they have now decided that they will travel to Canada for a retreat with their wives and their children and their concubines. You know why? Because Ati Gbagbakuba. Ati Gbagbakuba fún gbogbo wọn. So they now want to make every one of us to continue to come and beg them for the basic needs of our lives. And what are the basic needs of our life? The stolen Britain identity theft that the British took away by destroying empires that were in existence even before their own generation. And they've cooked all manners of lies. And now we now have Yoruba people don't continue to attack us because they think that maybe there is something that we want to gain out of it. But they forgot that the evil of the British government, the British monarchy system that destroyed the people and told us lies that we are Nigerians. Because there's nowhere in the world that we know that God created Nigeria. Not even Baba Adeboye can come out and tell us that God created this entity that he himself is using as a fraud. Because Baba Adeboye is using Nigeria as a fraud to continue to manipulate the minds of millions of Yoruba people in the mind that they are still a citizen of a country that was never a country. Because the Holy Spirit would have told Baba Adeboye at some point that there is nothing called Nigeria is a fraud. But Baba Adeboye is using Nigeria as an entity to create many churches outside Nigeria that he does not want people to question that entity. Because the day that Nigeria ends, those entity churches would have to either be a Yoruba entity or they would have to vaporize. I hope you understand what I'm saying there. Mo ti sorry. Baba Adeboye mọ̀ pé ìjọ táwọn bá ti gbóhùn sókè pé Yoruba nation is a country. There will be challenges of all these churches across the globe. But we'll come back to that in a minute. Let's go to Ekiti State. Ekiti State is one many state in the southwest part of Nigeria. And I want to take us to their members. I think they call them Ekiti ambassador. I hope that is what they're calling them. Let's see if we can find their names. No, these are just ambassadors representing the state. Let's look for executive council. I think that should be the way we will find the people that we need. Mukibugomo Yoruba. Now, let's dive into questions of some of these. These are the faces of Yorubas. Tiwon Tako Yoruba nation. So when people come out and say, no, I think about Yoruba nation. No, we want Yoruba nation, but all these representatives, the ones that you're looking at their faces on the screen right now, these are the enemies of Yorubas. These are the ones that want to keep a political criminal country called Nigeria using a fraudulent constitution and continue to deceive ourselves that we are Nigerians. When Ekiti State can be a Yoruba state that would then be able to operate under a Yoruba government. So let's start with the new governor. His name is Biodun Abayomi Oyebanji. He is the current governor. Like I said, most of them, I always like to give every one of us long life. So I give this governor another 60 years. So ṣé ó dìgbà tí governor yìí náà bá pé whatever his age now, let's go and look for the age of this governor. Ẹ jẹ́ ká lọ wo age ẹ̀. This governor was born in 1967, 7 years, which was during the Biafra War. So these are the children that were born during the Biafra War. During the time that Nigeria was going through that criminal activities of the West, interference in the many activities that we thought there was a country. So he was born on the 21st of December 1967. He is only 56 years old. So if I add another 50 years to his age, he will be 106 years. But after he died, Yoruba will still be existing. Why then are they allowing us to remain Nigerians, knowing fully well that he himself knows history, that there is nothing called Nigeria? But because we have Yoruba people that continue to live in denial, that they have a governor, they have a government that is working and trying their best to make life better for them in a fraudulent country like Nigeria. Let's go after the deputy, Chief Monisade Christina Afuye. She's the deputy governor of Ekiti State. Again, another Yoruba woman. But for the fact that we would think that they are Yorubas, but in the long run, they are not fully blood Yoruba because wọ́n fẹ́ kí Yoruba nation kó wáyé. So when we are saying Moki Alaja Irat Adeyeye, many of you might not know her, but if you look at this image that I'm going to show us quickly, she's one out of the 2 women that went with us to number 10 Downing Street, and she's the one to your right-hand side of the screen. That is a beautiful mother, a strong, dedicated Yoruba woman. To your right-hand side of the screen, next to Bedu magazine, Mukiawa Alaja Irat. So let's quickly go back because of my time, because this program comes to an end at exactly 10:30. And we're already an hour, 11 minutes into the program. So let me push it quickly. So when we talk about Yoruba country, let's ask Biodun Abayomi Oyebanji, what is your position on Yoruba having an independent country? Because if you come out and say you are a Yoruba man and you want a Yoruba country, you automatically become a member of a system that is about to work. But are they going to do that? Is this governor going to come out and defend a Yoruba country? Or will he continue to defend a criminal Nigeria that he himself knows that Nigeria is a fraud? Let's go to the deputy governor, Chief Monisade Christina Afuye. Again, let's ask her the question. Will she support a Yoruba country? I'm sure she will tell you no. You know why? Because she's also thinking that she can do her best, and after this governor finishes his tenure, she might be contesting to become the next governor. Let's go and ask the secretary to the state government, Dr. Abibat Omolara. These are the faces that you don't see all the time. So if the man attack wa pé kí ló dé tí Yorùbá nation ń pẹ́, kí ló dé tó ń pẹ́? The reason to ṣe ń pẹ́ ni pé we have these people calling themselves our representatives in our state. And they don't want to sit down with us. They don't want to have any discussion with us because they think that Nigeria is the best interest for every one of us. And whether we like it or not, we must all abide by the rules of their own game. How do we tackle them? How do we tackle them? How do we engage them? How do we bring them to a conclusion of discussion that Nigeria is a failure? Let's go to the head of service, Dr. Folake Omojobi. Again, these are Yoruba names so far. So what I'm trying to bring out is, we are not coming here to attack them. We are only asking them that, ṣé ọmọ Yoruba ni yín? And if yes, do you want Yoruba nation? I'm sure most of them will say no. And if they are saying yes underneath, why is it that they can't say yes now? Is it because they are part of the government, resign out of the government, and declare your support for Yoruba nation? Most of these people are the one against why Yoruba has not become a country today. So Tebawani Ema country, we must prepare to fight these individuals that I'm mentioning now. I'm using Ekiti as a case study. We will use another state for another day. let's go to the Attorney General and the Commissioner for Justice. I'm sure that Dapo Akpata, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, is a well-learned man that knows that the fraudulent constitution that binds Ekiti and the federal will never work. Yet, this Attorney General will continue to deceive millions of Ekiti people that there is hope for them, that the governor is doing everything. And yet, if there's a crime in Ekiti, they will move it to Abuja and he dares not come out and say anything to it. You know why? Because kò ní power yẹn. The power is not in the state, the power is in federal, in Abuja. And all these are becoming concern to many of us. And if we ask them, should we remain one Nigeria? They will say yes. You know why? Because they are also part of the system. So I want to put something as a senior advocate of Nigeria. I want us to listen to this particular man, but I want his face to come out while I'm going to play the video. So, Mombi Babawa, àìtí ìjà o, ìbéèrè là ń bí gbogbo ẹ̀yin bàbá dáadáa yìí, ẹ̀yin màmá dáadáa yìí, ẹ̀yin gómìnà wa, pé kí ló dé gan tí à ń pariwo Yorùbá nation, tẹ́yin jẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹni tí ẹ̀ ń ṣe bí ìtẹ́ ẹ̀ gbọ́, ṣé etí yín di ni ẹ gbọ́ náà? Ìbẹ́yìn náà wà lórí social media, ẹ náà tẹ kó sórí social media, ẹ dẹ̀ lè ní ẹ̀gbọ́n tí olóyè Ìgbòho àti bàbá Akíntóyè ń ṣe, ẹ lè ní ẹ̀mọ àǹfààní tí Yorùbá nation fẹ́ jẹ́ fún wa, ẹ dẹ̀ mọ̀ pé tá bá sì wà nínú Nàìjíríà, English la máa sọ. English is a borrowed language. English is a fraudulent language. Àwọn Chinese ò kí ń sọ English. Àwọn Japan ò kí ń sọ English. South Korea cares less about English. Kí ló wá dé tẹ̀yin bàbá yìí, ẹ̀yin ìyá yìí, tá à ń pariwo Yorùbá nation tí ẹ̀yin ò dẹ̀ dá sí? Ekiti State la wà lálẹ́ yìí. It could be any state. Ó kù díẹ̀, the video tí mo fẹ́ play, I think I can play it now because I'm clear from my Mokibubu Alenkonsi. Please share the program. No, Okudia. Share the program and invite others to do so as well. Mobewani. We must not relent. We must continue to engage. And part of engagement is what I'm about to ask the Chief Justice of Ekiti State. Bàbá wa Dayo Apata, tẹ́ bá ń gbọ́ mi níbikíbi tẹ́ bá ti ń gbọ́, àpèrí orí yín síkú, àpèrí akọ̀níkẹ́ bá wa béèrè lọ́wọ́ Chief Ọlánìpẹ̀kun pé nínú ẹ̀yin méjèèjì ta ló ní làákàyè, ẹ jájọ gbọ́.
We have problems in the land, and the problems, I want to say this, I might be off the cuff, is because of our constitution. Also, Nigeria is not operating any constitution known to honesty, entrenched in group faith, brought about by unanimity of the people, acceptable to federalism, and again, that is also, we also have that problem in the judiciary because of the Nigerian situation. We have a unitary system. That's what we run. Hydra-headed. Don't let us pretend. And I've said it over and over, and I'll continue to say it. And that's unitarism has also crept into the judiciary. Today, the entire Nigerian judiciary is unitarized. The Supreme Court is federal, Federal Court of Appeal, the Court of Appeal is federal, Federal High Court is federal, FCT is federal, National Industrial Court is federal, Customary Court of Appeal of the Federal High Court is federal, Sharia Court of Appeal of the Federal High Court is federal, all jurisdictions. That the Kayode of this world, that the Okutas of this world, that the Bellows of this world, when they were in their respective high courts, exercised, making the law to be profound, succulent, rich, exciting, they are now vested in the different federal high court or federal courts. We're talking of how to reform the system. There is no justification in a state, in a nation like Nigeria, purporting to practice federalism, where even the Supreme Court should be overburdened with unnecessary jurisdiction in respect of land matters from Yoruba land, respect of divorce, respect of family matters, chieftaincy matters. How do they know? I don't want us to be deceiving ourselves. Assuming I'm even appointed to the Supreme Court today, I'm above the age, but assuming, and I'm sitting there, and you bring a matter on appeal in respect of Kanuri native law and custom, or Igbo native law and custom, or Igbo land tenure system, and I sit there, and I'm writing judgment. I'm a Yoruba man. What do I know about that? Those kind of cases to stop at the state, either Court of Appeal or Supreme Court. Go to the United States of America. Each state has its own Supreme Court. We are running into trouble. We are inching there, and time is not in our favor. And I'm not tickled by what the National Assembly is doing. They are not being fair to themselves. They are not being fair to us. They claim to be amending the Constitution. What are they amending? And I want to repeat it. Do you amend something that is not amendable? When you want to amend the Constitution, by the way, Lati, where do you start? You start from the preamble.
We the people?
Oh yes, they have to amend it. Why are they running away from it? If they cannot amend the preamble, if the preamble is not amendable, then it means the Constitution is not amendable. Come on. They have to start from it. Do you start reading your letter from the back page? Do you? No, they have to start from the preamble. That means the preamble is fake. We the people, who are the we? When did we meet? And why can't we do it? I'm studying the constitutions of the world. And I say this also with every sense of humility. There's no constitution that is near as fake, near as deceitful, near as make-believe in nature and in content as the constitution, as what we call the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended.
If the Constitution maintains by Section 2 that Nigeria is one indissoluble nation and doesn't provide for means or procedure by which a people or a particular sector of the nation, a federating people, can choose to say at this particular point we want to have a nation of our own, and it doesn't provide for a peaceful means by which this can be guaranteed, there will always be frictions that will be leading to violence, killings, and bloodshed. And to avoid this, it is imperative that we look at that provision of Section 2 that says that Nigeria is one indissoluble, indestructible entity that doesn't make provision for the procedure by which a people can advance the right to self-determination. There have been many occasions where, on so many occasions we hear from the Arewa People's Congress or whatever agitating that yes, if Nigeria cannot work, they want to go on their own. The Biafra agitators are there. We have the Odua nation and what have you. If the Constitution provides for a procedure to determine peacefully whether a people can separate from Nigeria, you see that some of these agitations might be completely quenched. For instance, let me give you one. Tomorrow now, if we provide for referendum or plebiscite, these are political procedures for determining whether a nation or a nation in a country, because I want to take the definition of a nation here to mean the ethnic nationalities, maybe the Yoruba nation, the Igbo nation, the Arewa nation, or Ijo, Ibiobio, and what have you. Now, if a people can be entitled to right to call for plebiscite that can be supervised by international organs like the United Nations and what have you, it can be safely and easily determined that, okay, these people in this particular area as done in 1960, in 1959-60, if my recollection is right, with the people of the southern part of Cameroon who formed part of Nigeria before, but when they decided that no, they wanted to be on their own, then a plebiscite was conducted and they were able to have a separate nation of their own. If we say Nigeria is an indissoluble entity and will not tolerate any agitation by which people can determine whether they want to be on their own, definitely we are only calling for crisis on our own earth. Tomorrow now, if you subject it to plebiscite, that okay, people of the Igbo nation should decide whether they want to be part of Nigeria or they want to have a nation of their own. You might find a situation that the majority may say they prefer to be in Nigeria rather than having a Biafra. And that will silence the people who are agitating. And if people who are agitating are in the majority by virtue of the plebiscite, why not allow such to just take place peacefully so that there is no sense in remaining one single entity by force that may lead to bloodshed and what may even be characterized as genocide, because a situation where that is allowed, then we have descended below the level of humanity. So these are some of the provisions. Going to the political level, to some of the political angle that may require some intervention.
President Tinubu needs to put his best foot forward to govern the country. If he does that, in 4 years, he can turn things around. But there are certain critical things he would need to do The first thing is to say, what's the constitution? If, for instance, me and my wife Lillian don't agree in our marriage of 45 years, then we can't do anything. So the first thing that President Tinubu would need to do is to ensure that Nigerians all agree to be one country. You recall that Bola Ige asked those two questions. Do we want to be one? It's not by force. If we want to be one, how? We haven't answered those questions, which is why I told President Akpabio of the Senate that it has taken 23 years to solve the problem of the Constitution. And I urged him, in conjunction with President Tinubu, to resolve the Nigerian constitutional question now by inviting the owners of Nigeria. The owners of Nigeria, mark you, were those who owned Nigeria before Lugard brought his amalgamation in 1914. Call them in. These are the people who own the country, and ask them questions. What do you want to see of the Constitution? Because without a Constitution, we're going nowhere. And no one will doubt the fact that the Constitution bequeathed by the military in 1999 is unsatisfactory. You can't build anything out of a weak foundation. The economic development policy of President Tinubu, the political development policy of President Tinubu, and everything else he wants to do rests on a very solid foundation. So let him immediately resolve that. How can we spend 23 years looking for a foundation for building a house? Does that make sense to anybody? So that's my number one issue. We need to resolve this issue of, do we want to be one? And mark you, the flip side of the question is that we mustn't be one, because Yugoslavia, which was 6 countries under Marshal Tito, when he died, decided to break apart. And today, a lot of them are very strong countries: Macedonia, Croatia, Slovenia, Slovakia. They're all doing well. So there is no sacrosanctity about Nigeria being one country. There's none. I personally would wish for Nigeria to be one country, but we must agree. Now that is the problem. Because we have not agreed, and because the National Assembly has appropriated to itself the all-knowing wisdom of giving us a constitution, that is the weakness. So that
impediment to Yoruba development is the impediment to Odua development. Without Nigeria, we won't be where we are. 1962, we were far ahead of South Korea and North Korea. We were far ahead of China even. We had television before France. We had radio before South Africa. Now look at where we are today. I think it's a shame that even any Yoruba man can be talking about restructuring at this point in time. What are we restructuring? This country that is already shot to pieces? I don't think that's what we want. But they are always talking about giving Nigeria a chance. The patience of Yoruba with Nigeria has come to an end.
And I welcome back into the program. Moshimberi, I'm still asking the question. What is our offense between us and our political allies? The ones that are currently running our state on our behalf, and we expect them to continue to make sure that the life of millions of our people is well taken care of before the dissolution or the amalgamation of the entity known as Nigeria. How the entity dissolve will also mean that báwọn tó jẹ́ olóṣèlú wa bó ṣe fẹ́. If they want it to be resolved with a non-bloodshed, that means that they can engage and we can do it, and we can then all demand a total exit together. That is a peaceful way. And that is the way that I pray that it will end. But if these criminal politicians continue to tell us to back out off, that we cannot do anything. I like that word, we cannot do anything, because that for me means that it will be woto. It will be yokmonyori, and it will mean destruction, and it will cost lives as well. That we must continue to avoid, in as much as I believe that we must fight, even if it's going to be bloodshed. I don't care. Because already there's a lot of blood spill out in Nigeria, mostly in Yoruba land and across the other part of Nigeria. And if anybody thinks that these politicians will wake up one day and just say, let us sit on the round table in the first place, and they are being honest, these are the same politicians that are controlling our kings directly or indirectly. Because I wonder why Ooni of Ife should listen to Tinubu in the first place. Because position tí Ooni wà, ó ní weight ju position òfò tí Tinubu gbé sí. Because Ooni of Ife and Tinubu, if they remain the same life of 60 years, I pray that they live longer than that. Tinubu will have left that messed up office that is playing the nepotism. There's nothing wrong in that. If the Igbos were there, they would play the same. If Peter Obi je president, he will do the same thing that Tinubu is doing to put every Igbo people. Forget about all these gimmicks that is playing around saying, oh, I'm a true federal Nigeria character. If I become president, I will then go and bring a chief of staff from Yoruba land. I will bring chief of... Forget about all that nonsense. Gbogbo tó ń play yẹn, ó ń play tare ni, but Peter Obi will never be the president and Nigeria will break. He can go to Biafra land if they accept him there in the near future. And what I mean in the near future, it can be tomorrow, it can be tonight. Nigeria can explode like a gas that is smelling and somebody is smoking cigarette next to it. Think about what can happen. Owuloro Nigeria. Imagine you can smell the gas and right next to it, somebody just decided to light up. You know what that means. So what we are saying to our politicians is that they control àwọn ọba, but I don't know why our kings have become that the politicians continue to deceive them. When we are saying to the politicians that we will deal with you because you have put our kings in a situation that they cannot speak out anymore. Ó wá di pé ọba máa sọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́yìn pé bóyá òun nífẹ̀ẹ́ sí Yorùbá nation bá àwọn ò lè gbére ṣé àwọn ò lè sọ̀rọ̀ síta. Ṣé politician ló jẹ́ kó máa bẹ̀rù ọba ni àbí ọba ló yẹ kó máa bẹ̀rù politician? Can you imagine in Yoruba land today? And this is what the British that created this mess knows to do best. I dare tell you that the UK politicians will never disrespect the king Oba Louis. But look at our own monarchy system. The British destroy our monarchy system and kept their own nourishing that if you become a prime minister, wàá kọ́kọ́ lọ kúnlẹ̀ fún ọba láti sọ pé yes, the people have voted for me. Ǹjẹ́ wo ọba accept pé kí n ṣe ìjọba on your behalf? Because the current prime minister tá gbé lẹ́tà lọ́ba, ó lọ gbàṣẹ lọ́wọ́ King Charles kó tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ ìjọba ẹ̀. But look at it today. This is a governor that is looking at me like Kokoko in his face now. Look at the deputy. All the tenure that they have is 8 years. But the same Oba that they disrespect will be there for as long as he's old, and then Oba Okinku Ani Oba Wajani. And it takes me back to when I met Iku Baba Yeye, and you know, I was bitter that some of the things as a journalist that I asked him, he did answer a lot, but it's something that we cannot say right now because they're too confidential. And I want them to trust us because we still have some of our Oba tó ń bá wa sọ̀rọ̀ lẹ́yìn. Kò ní wá da kó wá sọ pé wá gbọ́n tí Koiki ń sọ. Ṣé ẹni tá máa sọ̀rọ̀ fún náà lélẹ́yìí? Because we know that some of them are still talking to us underneath. Just like Iku Baba Yeye did as well. But my concern and worry is that ṣé àwọn ọba ò mọ̀ pé ìta ń béèrè fún wọ́n bí bàbá any politician dání mo sọ tó bá fún wa ní the full endorsement pé kọ́tẹ̀ súnmọ́ palace wọn a máa fi orí politician yẹn a máa fi fàgbọ́n. Kódà tó bá tún wá ní àwọn ẹmẹ̀wà tó wà lẹ́yìn ẹ̀ bí sójà bí security à make sure pa yanjú gbogbo wọn. I am not joking. So èmi ò mọ kí ló ń bà wọ́n bá lẹ́rù tí wọ́n fi ń wà débi pé àwọn olóṣèlú wá ń tẹ́tì wọn. Ṣé olóṣèlú ti gbéyàwó kan fún yín tó ṣe kámẹ́rà tó fídíò yín nígbà tẹ́ ń ṣe jigijigi pẹ̀lú àwọn ọmọ yẹn ni? Tó dáa, okay, àti accept whatever táwọn olóṣèlú bá ṣe fún yín, we accept it. Ẹ̀yin kò súnmọ́ àwa kẹ́ sọ pé ẹ fẹ́ Yorùbá nation. Whatever tí ẹ bá jọ ní pẹ̀lú àwọn olóṣèlú, ẹ break hold yẹn, kẹ́ support àwa, kẹ́ wá wo táwa máa ṣe. Àwa la máa sùn sí palace tó bá bí bàbá politician dá kó wá yọjú sí yín. So kí ló dé tẹ́ ń bẹ̀rù àwọn olóṣèlú ju intanfẹ́ yìí lọ yan bá wa? Because tí àwọn ọba bá dìde, maybe some of you don't know that. Let me give you a close example. Tí ọba bá dìde léde nísìn, tán ní àwọn fẹ́ Yorùbá nation, they can take our message in all uniform pẹ̀lú gbogbo ara wọn. Wọ́n lè gbé lọ sí United Nations pé ilẹ̀ yìí, this land, this part of Nigeria that we are talking about belongs to the Yoruba people. And we are the custodian of this land. And that means that every single one of us have automatically declared that our land be given back to us. And that means that we have declared a Yoruba country. And United Nations does not give country. But that endorsement alone will go a long way. But the question is, why is the Awon Oba Ile Yoruba, kí ló dé tó ń bẹ̀rù àwọn olóṣèlú that they are look, ọba tó ń bẹ̀rù Akérédolú nísìn, Akérédolú has died, is gone. Ọba mi sì wà láyé lára àwọn tí olóṣèlú tí Akérédolú tó sọ̀rọ̀ sáwọn ọba, because a gbọ́ pé Akérédolú báwa ṣe nífẹ̀ẹ́ tó, ó wà against àwọn ọba kan ní Ondo State. Where is he today? Ẹ wo Ajímọ̀bí of Ọ̀yọ́ State. Ajímọ̀bí ti pa, ó ti lọ nísìn. Àwọn ọba tí Ajímọ̀bí ń ṣe gbẹ̀gbẹ̀gbẹ̀ sí, tó ń wúgẹ̀ sí, òun ti lọ, àwọn ọba yẹn ṣì wà láyé. So kí ló dé téèyàn bá wá ń bẹ̀rù àwọn olóṣèlú? Whatever, wọ́n gbówó fún yín, okay, àti accept is a normal thing in Nigeria. Okay, àti accept, àwa Yorùbá ti accept pé whatever tí àwọn ọba tó bá ṣe fún yín àbí tẹ́ ṣe fún wọn, we accept it, but ẹ̀yin darapọ̀ máa wá kẹ́ wá wo ohun táwa máa ṣe pẹ̀lú àwọn olóṣèlú. Because àwọn olóṣèlú tẹ̀yìn bẹ̀rù, èmi ò bẹ̀rù olóṣèlú because lórí burúkú náà they are born bastard. Kò sí kankan tó olóṣèlú kankan lè ṣe fáwa. Bí ṣe wà ní UK, kò sí kan tí any one of them lè ṣe. Kí ló wá dé tẹ̀yìn bá ń bẹ̀rù Tinubu? Ebi gan bẹ̀rù Tinubu bó ṣe wà yẹn, kan born bastard ní Tinubu. Àwọn ò bẹ̀rù Tinubu, kí ló dé tẹ̀yìn wá ń bẹ̀rù Tinubu? Kí ni ìmùlẹ̀ tó wà láàárín yín ẹ̀yin ọba pẹ̀lú àwọn olóṣèlú? Whatever it is, ẹ break hold yẹn, kẹ́ padà sílé, kẹ́ padà sí the custodian part of who you are, because ẹ̀yin lẹ nílẹ̀. Àwọn Tinubu, gbogbo àwọn yẹn kọ́ ló nílẹ̀. Tinubu is only gonna be here for 60 years maximum. After 60 years, Tinubu máa bá tiẹ̀ lọ. Ẹ̀yin ọba ilẹ̀ Yorùbá, ẹ jẹ́ ká jọ gbé yẹ̀wò ọ̀rọ̀ tó ń bẹ nílẹ̀, ẹ jẹ́ ká jọ review ẹ̀. Kí ni reason tẹ́ ṣe wà against the Yoruba people at this junction? Ooni of Ife lè sọ, ó lè pàṣẹ láti palace kó sọ fún King Charles pé gbogbo ohun tí ẹ ṣe sí Nàìjíríà, àwa Yorùbá ti yọra wa kúrò. Ooni ò ní any reason láti communicate pẹ̀lú bomb bastard Sultan of Sokoto because mọ́ra rí òyìnbó ló kó gbogbo àpapọ̀. Ní any reason láti communicate pẹ̀lú Obi of Anambra, Obi of Onitsha. We don't need any one of that. Ooni pàṣẹ pé Yorùbá country ti dé, wọn ò bí bàbá ńlá pọ̀ rí anybody dání gbogbo àgbáyé kó wà against it. Tí Ooni bá pàṣẹ lálẹ́ kò sí bàbá, bọ̀ kí ló dé tí Ooni ń bẹ̀rù láti lè gbóhùn sókè lórí ọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá nation tá à ń sọ yìí nígbà tó jẹ́ pé adẹ̀ ń sọ pé èyí ni Odùduwà. Igi wá ní àǹfààní Odùduwà tá à ń pariwo òun gan. What is the purpose of this Odùduwà? Because Odùduwà ò ní kankan ṣe pẹ̀lú Nàìjíríà gẹ́gẹ́ bí lineage nǹkan tẹ́ sọ fún wa. Ìbẹ̀ wá sí London mo gbọ́ gbogbo tẹ́ sọ. Odùduwà ò ní kankan ní any reason láti wà nínú Nàìjíríà. Because Nàìjíríà tó gbélé lórí yẹn, ó ní kódà tẹ́ bá ṣètùtù gan sẹ̀, àwọn ètùtù yẹn tó lè má tètè gbà torí pé Nàìjíríà là ń pèlé lórí. Nígbà tá a bá ń ṣàdúrà lọ nísìn, astagfirullah, ní ti mùsùlùmí nìyẹn, tá a bá wá ṣe tán, àwa ní kọ́lọ́n bá wa, kọ́lọ́n gbàdúrà wa nínú Nàìjíríà yìí. A dẹ̀ mọ̀ pé Nàìjíríà yẹn níbi tó ti ń ṣe jigijigi, ìyẹn lùgádà tó lórí burúkú girlfriend ẹ̀ aláṣẹ́wó, àwọn ni wọ́n pe Nàìjíríà ní Nàìjíríà nígà area. àwa wá ń ṣàdúrà mùsùlùmí àwa ń pe nàìjíríà lé lórí ẹ̀rí pàdúrà yàn nígbà àwa kìrìsìtẹ́nì ń ṣàdúrà ìyẹn mo ṣe ń bi bàbá Adébóyè pé kí ni ọlọ́run sọ fún yín lórí ọ̀rọ̀ nàìjíríà nísìn ẹ yé fi ọ̀rọ̀ nàìjíríà ẹ yé fi kó wa ní sàkámàǹjẹ gbogbo yẹn ti lọ nísìn ayé ti lajújù yẹn lọ tó bá jẹ́ pé ń títì yín ni èyí tó bá fẹ́ ṣe yorùbá èyí tó bá fẹ́ ṣe yorùbá ẹ dì sọ́bẹ̀ kẹta fún wọn ẹ lè ta fún wọn torí business franchise ní redeem gbogbo alámọ̀ yẹn olúkálukú tó ní branch ẹ̀ ó léye tẹ́ ń sọ padà ní sọ̀kalẹ̀ fún headquarters ní nàìjíríà so kí ló dé tẹ́ wá ń fi ìran yìí tẹ́ fi ń fìyà jẹ ìran yìí nígbà tá à ń pariwo pé ìran ìyà ń jẹ ìran yìí nà kí ló dé àdé ń sọ pé Odùduwà ṣé Odùduwà ní ká wá jìyà ni ṣé nígbà tí Odùduwà wá ó ní ká jìyà ni kò ní ká jìyà náà so kí ló dé tẹ̀yìn ọba tẹ́ ń bẹ̀rù àwọn olóṣèlú lórí burúkú àwa náà wọn ò bẹ̀rù olóṣèlú kí ló dé tẹ̀yìn wá ń bẹ̀rù wọn that is what is still giving me concern. Olóṣèlú tẹ̀yìn bẹ̀rù yìí they are just human being ẹ̀yin lágbára jù wọ́n lọ ẹ lè lo àkọsẹ́gun kẹfì lé wọn dànù àbí kò sí kúkú dè mọ́ nílẹ̀ Yorùbá ni ẹ̀yin ọba ṣe náwọn ẹ ṣe láwọn kan tẹ́ lè lò náà olóṣèlú tó bá yan yín lẹ́nu ẹ wọnú ilé agbára kẹrún èpè fún kó máa lọ yanjú ẹ̀ kó kúrò kó yí disturb yín bó bá jẹ́ Tinubu náà ló yan yín lẹ́nu ni ẹ bu èpè fún Tinubu kó máa bá tiẹ̀ lọ kó lọ sí north torí pé wọ́n fi tiwọn wọ́n fi ń kó bá àwa àtẹ̀yìn àwọn òde fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ sáwọn ọba àwa mọ̀ pé èèyàn ọba wa èèyàn dáadáa ni yín a mọ̀ pé èèyàn dáadáa ni yín a mọ̀ pé ẹ̀ kì í ṣe èèyàn burúkú a mọ̀ pé èèyàn tí Elédùmarè tí ẹ̀ṣẹ̀dá dá fún wa ni yín ta bẹ̀ respect nítorí pé orí tẹ wà yẹn orí tó dáa ni a sọ irú àwọn ọba wèrè tó ń fagbó nínú pálásì so kí ló dé kí la ṣe fẹ́yàn báyìí